Let's look at what essentially is expected of a running mate. And I pose that question, starting with you. It's to both of you, but I'll start with Prof. I pose that question because, especially with the Bawumia factor, what was expected of a running mate has seemed somewhat different from what maybe we expected of Aka, what we expected of Aliu Mahama, what we expected of Atta Mills at a point, then Aliu Mahama, then John Dramani Mahama himself. The running mate situation, who becomes a vice president, the expectations, what really are they?
Okay, well, just like we have in marriage, running mates are actually companionship, not competition. You want to make sure that you have somebody who can complement you, i.e. fill your gaps. So you're saying that if you need counsel, who can give you that particular wise counsel that indeed you could actually sort of use to solve some of the many problems. So it is not only about connecting stakeholders in the campaign, but as John said, if you are not in the country, or you're not governing, you're not within the jurisdiction at a particular point, or even if you are not in a position to govern, do you have a stable hand, a very solid mental fortitude, the judgment, the character to actually govern the country? So you have someone who is actually playing that role. So you look at your characteristics and you look at how to plug the kind of gaps that you find within your characteristics. Now you need somebody who actually would appeal to certain voter blocks. Now, I've always said that, look, in the elections, just like we have in a marriage, there are some issues that your wife can actually speak better to your children than you would do because, obviously, of the particular issue and their characteristics, all right? So there are certain voter blocks that perhaps you would have a certain character in a candidate that could speak passionately to them and could be much more convincing than the flag bearer themselves. There are certain situations that perhaps someone with a different character can actually solve better. If you look at the Jerry Rawlings and Atta Mills, both of them of blessed memory, they had two completely different characteristics. And so when situations come, you could deploy perhaps Atta Mills, for example. Other situations Jerry Rawlings can actually handle better because they had two completely different characteristics. And there are situations that require, different characteristics to hand over. If you look at stakeholder groups, all right, there are some stakeholder groups that are better handled by a different character, different personality than other character, other personality. So there are situations, stakeholders, communication issues. There is a certain counsel that a candidate needs. The candidate needs certain reassurances, etc. So all these issues come to play when you're selecting your running mate. And I'm sure that the candidates themselves, when making decisions about these things, this structured approach of selecting who best fits, I think actually comes into memory. So certainly you have to look at all that. And I have said that in the campaign, although the economic issues had been predominant, all right, there are some other issues that are quite important in people's lives. And we haven't been able to make salient, we haven't been able to prime those issues. Characteristics themselves could prime issues depending on the person that you're bringing onto the campaign trail. So certainly these are some of the issues that you want to consider, when you are considering your, running mate here.